Hi, if you're watching this, you're probably looking for more information on Nationwide Energy Partners or UtilityHawk. Nationwide Energy Partners is my utility provider here in Columbus, Ohio. It's not a very well-known utility provider, and it's not even, it's usually only in apartments. I don't know of any place where it's not in an apartment. And in my apartment complex, only about half of the people here actually use Nationwide Energy Partners. The other half are still on AEP. So it is very not well known. So I just wanted to get a video out there explaining what I've learned about it. I've only seen one video with UtilityHawk in the name, and that was through a different service provider. I think that was in Georgia. So these may vary, but hopefully the portal stays the same. If you have any questions or if I miss anything, please let me know. I'm not a professional YouTuber, so I hope this blurring doesn't. I hope I do a decent job of this blurring of personal account information. If I don't, I apologize. But a little bit more about me, just to kind of make the numbers make sense. I moved in June 2022 to a one-bedroom apartment. It's half of this upper level. The apartment has 9-foot ceilings, and it also comes with a one-car attached garage, which I installed fiberglass insulation on the garage door. And I also have an EV or a plug-in hybrid, depending on how you classify it. It's a 2017 Chevy Volt. And I do less driving than most EV drivers do. So that impact on electrical usage isn't going to be much. And I only have a 120 volt charging system. Yeah, I just plug it into a wall outlet. So it's not going to be crazy high spikes. The high spikes that you'll probably see are related to the heat pump. So in the winter, you have that heat pump using electricity. I don't have any natural gas. And that will really make the spikes make sense. Here's a floor plan if you're interested in that. It's really almost 900 square feet. And yeah, the upper level here has 9-foot ceilings throughout. So to give more information on what is Nationwide Energy Partners, how are they different from regular utilities, and what is UtilityHawk? Basically, what I've seen is Nationwide Energy Partners is a reseller, kind of a way to privatize utilities. I've heard kind of good things, kind of bad things about it. One of the good things to start out is that apparently Nationwide Energy Partners is committed to 100% renewables. I don't know if that's fully in effect yet, but there is that. And that may not be as good of a bonus as you think it might be, because I believe that within 5 years, AEP is required to go to 100% renewables within the Columbus area here. So it's kind of a wash. Don't really know what that means. So the other benefit that you get from Nationwide Energy Partners and UtilityHawk is the data. You get plenty of data. I've never seen a utility company not just say, this is what you used for the month, and that's all we're going to give you. I have seen some other solutions out there. This Emporia is just the first thing that came up in Google, or one of the first ones. And so you attach it within your breaker box. You can see those leads go around every single one of the connections in there. And you have a little Wi-Fi setup that connects to Wi-Fi, and they'll give you an app as well, it looks like. I don't know if there's a monthly fee with this, with $215, you know, not a insignificant amount. Is this better than Nationwide Energy Partners and UtilityHawk? In short, yes, it is. As you can see from the graph here, you have a time scale of a minute here in between these two. You have a bunch of changes within the minute here. So it's going to be able to tell you with a much finer detail and hopefully much better accuracy and reliability than any UtilityHawk will be able to tell you. However, this is what my breaker box looks like. I'm not an electrician. I don't want to get too far into it. I could probably figure it out how to install one of these setups, but I just don't want to at the moment. And I think Nationwide Energy Partners, their solution is pretty good for basically no investment on your part, that is. So I can't really say if my bill's been higher over the past 6 months, 7 months, because I really don't use a whole lot of electricity. So if it went up by like 10%, I wouldn't really know. Also, I never paid a water bill before this, so that being factored into it, I can't say 100% for sure. Just to put that out there. But to go over this layout of this portal, you have a billing section here, and you can scroll. You can see the last bill that you had. You can see what they call estimated bill and projected bill, as long as the electrical use and projected electrical use, those two kind of tie in together. So that always confused me. What is estimated versus projected? And even if you click on this, if you click on the dollar amount, it'll give you the estimated here and projected here. It took me a little while to understand this. And you can even see AEP on there if I haven't already mentioned that. So yeah, they're just reselling the power. But you'll see the base charges here. The base charges are always the same between the estimated and projected. That's just the cost of being hooked up to electrical or water or sewer. And they're just going to charge you that every month. And they're just going to put it on the bill at the beginning of the month, the very first. So you'll see my bill started on the 15th. If you were to log in here on the 15th, you'd see, wow, that's if I multiply that by 30, my projected bill is not is going to be lower than what the estimated bill times 30 would be. And that's basically because of all the base charges that you're going to get. So I hope I did a good explanation of that. If you have any questions, please let me know. But basically, estimated bill is if you didn't use anything past today, if you use zero electricity or water, that's basically what you'd be charged. At your current usage rate, your projected bill is going to be that. So, then here, the data is really where this portal shines. So you really have two graphs here. You have the electric on top, and then you have kind of the weather graphs on the bottom. So you have the scale for average temperature, and you have the scale for rainfall. So you can hover over this and kind of get a little bit more detail. The gray range here, you can kind of see is the average temperature range, or the temperature range. And then the darker orange line is the average temperature. And you can just hover over a date and figure that out. Then you can see the graph for the rainfall down there, and that also displays on the pop-up how many inches it rained. We had some pretty crazy temperature here in December. It went from about in the 30s and 40s down to negative temperatures, and then back up to 60 degrees all in the course of about a week or two. So you can see my heat pump was working quite a bit. I was using almost 100 kilowatt hours for those 2 days when it was the coldest. And you can see there was a little bit of rainfall in the form of snow. But yeah, this will give you great breakdown of each day. If you want an hourly breakdown, you can go into the hourly sections, 24, 48, 72. So anything up here that says days is going to be broken down into days. Anything that says hours is going to be broken into hours. And months is going to be broken down into months, if you're only concerned about that. Another thing you may notice is you see kind of a darker orange and like a faded orange. Essentially, the darker orange is where they're actually getting reported data, and they're certain about that. The faded orange, if you hover over it, is averaged electrical use. So what I've seen this to mean is maybe your electrical box didn't talk to the utility company for a certain part of the day. So if you click on one of these days, you can go down into the daily hourly view for the day, and you'll see, okay, on this hour I used 0.52 kilowatts. On this hour I used 1.54 kilowatts. It's pretty accurate. I mean, it gets down into the hundredth of a kilowatt. But if you go back here, okay, that last hour was hundredth of a kilowatt, but every hour before that is just 2 kilowatts. So basically, it probably your electricity box didn't talk to the provider and report back that data for several hours, and then there at 6 a.m. it reported back, and it just said the entire usage over the past several hours since it reported last. And since they didn't know exactly when it was used, because these aren't probably the smartest meters, what you'd get with an M4 is going to be much more reliable and much more detailed. Unless your Wi-Fi goes out, maybe. I can't say that exactly, but it's going to give you much more detail than what you get here, and it's going to be much more reliable, because as you can see, it happens fairly often, at least a couple hours within a day, every couple weeks or so. If you go into the water usage, it's even worse, which I don't really care. I don't care about my water usage all that much. I don't use a whole lot. I have looked at it. It's nice to see, but it doesn't really make much of a difference. And then if you go into natural gas, I don't have natural gas, so it just displays nothing. One cool feature is the export feature. If you really want to get into the data, and I don't blame you, I love seeing this data, and this is definitely one thing that I'll say is pretty nice about having this. If you want to export the data, you can on an hourly, daily, or monthly. You cannot export more than the past 7 days, though. Or maybe it's just, actually, let's try that out. It may just be a 7-day stretch. So let's try one that's only about 5 days. Okay, yeah. It's even exporting that within 5 days. So you can only break it down within like a 7-day segment. So you can see that's done. One thing that what it exports is not everything that you see here. Just a heads up. So if you want water and electrical usage, it will export that, and it'll show you that on an hourly if you want hourly. But it will not show it will not export any of the weather data. So that's just another reason for you to use another source for your weather data. And if I haven't already said it, it only reports it really once a day. So if you go into the 72 hours, you can see that the hourly electrical usage is there, but it's just a flat bar throughout the day for the weather. And that's about all I have. If I missed anything, please let me know. Um, I'm looking to move here in about a couple months. And hopefully within a year, I'll be able to install a solar system and maybe get something kind of like the Emporia. So I'm hoping to kind of convey some more information, maybe answer any questions, and just kind of document my learning experience through the process. So if there's any way I can help with any questions, please let me know. Thank you for watching.